So I figured I'd kind of do like a little review of my my new eVic VTC Mini. This is the unit right here. It's an electronic cigarette. It's pretty cool, very cool in fact. I've never had a box mod before, and I really like it. I'm kind of I was kind of skeptical of box mods at first because I was like, I don't know if I'd like the feel because I'm used to the round cylinder mods. And I was like, it might feel a little weird in the hand having something that's a box that's so different than like a cigarette or a cigar. I mean, even though I've been vaping for years now, and most of what I've had, I started out with the small cigarette looking ones, and then I got the slightly bigger ones, that were more like a cigar size or whatever, like a small cigar. And then I got into the bigger tube mods, which were huge, but they were still round, and they almost felt like a really jumbo cigar. I would even hold them between my fingers a lot of times that way, just because it was comfortable. But so I was very skeptical about getting a box mod, and box mods have been around for years, but they've gotten really popular lately, and there's a couple of reasons why. The first is that box mods, like just the design of them in general, allow you to cram more electronics into them, bigger boards that do more things, versus a tube mod that has only a small amount of space at the very top above the battery and between the atomizer or the tank. So you've got all this room in here for manufacturers to like put in like boards to do different controls, as well as bigger displays and things. So I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, it makes more sense. And honestly, like, I actually really like the feel of this device. It's small enough. It's heavy because it's all metal, but it's small enough and it fits in my hand really well. I've gotten used to it really quickly. And the other benefit, in my opinion, is that it doesn't tip over as easy when you set it down on a table. It's not as likely to tip as like a big heavy tube mod that's standing up a lot taller. So I really dig that. And the other reason that box mods have gotten so popular lately is because I think there's a lot of people that are doing high wattage vaping as well as temperature control vaping, and the box mods have the circuitry in them to do that. So this is made by Joytech. Some people will say Joytech. I've always just called them Joytech. I basically consider the E silent. I could be wrong. But like I said, it's an all metal device, so it has some weight to it, and it feels like really well built. It uses an 18650 battery, which is behind this metal door right here, and this is a magnetic door, a couple pieces of metal on here, and then a couple of magnets in here that hold it into place. It snaps closed and it stays fairly secure. It jiggles just a very slight amount, sometimes not at all. You can see how solid that is. There's also a little thing underneath where you can stick your fingernail to pull it off, as well as a couple of very tiny vent holes. Vent holes on the bottom are not the best because batteries, if they need to vent in case of an emergency, they usually vent out the top. But I don't know, I've never had a battery explode on me, knock on wood, so hopefully, or vent on me at all, so hopefully that never happens. But let's hope that this magnet, while powerful, is still, I'm assuming there's enough space in between where the battery is and where the vent holes are that the gas can kind of escape down the side of the battery, versus in a tube mod where they're often stuck really close, like they're wedged right up against the side of the tube where there's like no pass through of air. So I'm hoping that it's hard to see inside there once it's closed, but I'm hoping there's enough room in there that allows some of that air to flow down from the top if it needs to, or some of that gas to flow down from the top if it needs to. Again, safety concerns. We always want to be concerned about safety when we vape, which is another reason why I'm not using the tank that comes with this mod in the kit on it right now, because I don't have the proper battery in order to use that tank. The batteries I'm using right now are quality batteries. They're AW 18650 IMRs, but these are 10 amp batteries. And I'm a little concerned about the amp rating on the battery for use with what's considered like a sub-ohm coil. And that's anything technically below 1.5 ohms is considered a sub-ohm coil. This that I'm using on it right now is a dual coil. It's currently registered as 2.28 ohms, and it's just a regular Kanger aero tank, and it vapes good. It's a little flooded right now, I think, at the top. That's why it's always good to keep napkins or whatever around in order to clean it out. And that's the nature of these tanks, so they can flood a little bit. That's the nature of a lot of tanks, though, is that they can flood a little bit from time to time, which is why you really got to keep a napkin or something around to kind of clean them out a bit. All I'm doing is just getting in there and trying to get any excess e-liquid out of there. It's probably down here, though, that it's flooding. Yeah, it's not vaping real good right now. I'm going to have to clear that out better. But I'd like to show you the screen on this thing. This thing's pretty sweet. What it shows at the top is the power. That's the wattage. And then it shows the voltage. Below that is the ohm rating of the coil up in here. And then the power remaining on the battery. What's cool is you can switch your wattage up and down in 0.1 increments. And it's firmware upgradable, so it comes out of the box a maximum of 60 watts. I typically vape at around 7.5 to 8.5 watts on one of these coils. But it'll go up to 60 out of the box, but there's a little USB jack here. And you can plug it into your computer and you can update the firmware, download a new firmware from Joytech. And the new firmware will support up to 75 watts. So once loaded in there, this thing will go up to 75 watts now, which is, I guess, pretty cool. I'm not a high wattage vapor, at least not yet. I may really like it when I get into it. We'll see how that goes. But you can also, there's a few tricks with the buttons. You can lock, if you're worried about your wattage changing on you, you can lock it by holding down both buttons, and then it'll say key lock, and then the same thing to unlock the buttons. And then you can switch modes by hitting the battery 3 times. 5 times turns it on and off. 3 times will start selecting, and then from there you hit this button here, and you can cycle through, and then you hit this button here, and that'll take you from wattage mode, power mode, to temperature mode, bypass mode, which bypasses basically the circuitry and goes straight to the atomizer. It's kind of like a mechanical mod. And then this, which is a temperature controlled nickel mode. That's when you're using nickel coils. The typical coils are Kanthal, like used in these, and most e-cigarettes are Kanthal. You can also, and temperature mode will allow you to increase or decrease your temperature in Fahrenheit, anywhere from 200 to 600 degrees Fahrenheit. And you really have to be in that mode. So if you're using a nickel coil, you have to use that mode. It's a safety concern because over a certain temperature, nickel coils can produce some dangerous fumes. And then there's also a mode for titanium. Oh, we're back to bypass. Temperature control nickel, and then temperature control titanium for when you're using titanium coils. And then back around to power. And then you can also go down to here and go from battery to your current, your amperage, to your puff counter, that's how many puffs you've taken, to your time. That's how many seconds of vaping you've put on this thing. And then back to power. And then you can always get out of this by just hitting the button. So that's kind of cool. I like this. It's a nice OLED screen, so it's pretty bright, it's big, it shows all your stats that you need to know, and it stays on for a good long time. After you hit the button, it'll go off by itself. But it generally stays on for a good long time. Now there's something else you can do here too. If you hold down these buttons, it goes into stealth mode. And that when you hit the button then, the screen won't light up. So if you're ever in a situation where you need to be into stealth mode, it won't light up in that case. Now it just lit up now because I hit the button 3 times, so it went to the menu selector. But if I let it go off again, let's see if it stays in stealth mode when I hit the button again once. See how long it stays on? It's kind of nice. And considering it's an OLED screen, I doubt it's using very much power. Oh, I think it's staying on for a while. Okay, now it went off. Yep. Still in stealth mode. And then you just do it again to shut stealth mode off. And now when you hit the button, the screen comes back on. So I need to use the coil, to use the tank that comes with this kit. It comes with both a nickel coil and a titanium coil. It doesn't come with a Kanthal coil. For whatever reason, they didn't include a Kanthal coil in there, which is weird to me. But it comes with a nickel and a titanium coil. So, and they're both, one of them's like a 0.2 ohm and the other's rated at like a 0.4 ohm. The titanium's at like a 0.4 ohm. So, again, with that amount of with that low amount of resistance, what I want to do is I want to get some 20 amp or 30 amp batteries to use with that tank. And I'll show you the tank in a minute. It's a matching tank. But so that's kind of the basics of this particular mod itself. It comes in this box, which kind of reminds me of like an iPhone box, the way it looks and the way it opens and all that. It's all very nice. It's all presented very nice. And then you open it up and you've got your manual and your warranty card, which from what I hear, the warranty isn't junk. It also comes with a USB cable for plugging it in. And the great thing about that is, aside from being able to update the firmware, like I said, you can also plug it in and just recharge the battery. And you can also vape it while it's recharging the battery. So you're never running out of power if you're sitting at your desk or whatever. And then it comes with the tank, the matching tank, which has I believe it's the nickel coil already installed in it, and then the titanium coil right here in this little package that you can switch out. And again, I haven't opened the tank yet because I don't have the right batteries to feel confident vaping with that tank yet, but when I do, I should be able to get some crazy clouds going, because that's when you get into like high wattage stuff and all that. So, which again, I'm not sure if I'll like. We'll see, because I've never been a high wattage vapor. I've always been a just a conventional vapor that rotates around 4 point whatever volts and around 7.5 to 8.5, 9 watts. So the interesting thing about this mod though is, what's cool about it is you can get it in 3 different colors. You can get it in white, which I kind of like because it's kind of a stormtrooper-y theme. I kind of dig the white and black. You can get it in black, which is nice and slick and all black. Was considering getting that one as well. Or you can get it in cyan, which is, like a cyan color. Again, all 3 of them with the matching tank that, matches the color and all that. I'm really digging it. I really am. It's a very solid device. The screen's beautiful. The buttons feel metal. I don't know if they are, if they're just like a tough plastic, but they feel metal. They could just be plastic, but they go really well with the metal casing either way, to the point where they feel metal. Everything just feels really solid. This magnetic door is tough to get on and off, which means it's nice and secure. It's got the ribbon for the battery. It's got this little, I don't know if you can see it, this little springy connection at the top for the battery, so it'll take either the nipple top batteries or the flat top batteries. Nice and easy. It's got the little positive and negative symbols there, so you know which way the battery goes. And then, of course, on the connection itself, it's a spring-loaded 510 connection, which means that that center pin in there has a spring underneath it, so it'll push down depending on what type of, you know, tank or atomizer, whatever you're using. Some of them have little things that stick out more than others, and so on. So it should fit pretty much any tank that's a 510 connection, no problem, and make a good connection. And it's got like like a little juice well, barely a little juice well there, in case, you know, some, you know, juice comes out of the tank or the atomizer or whatever, and it drips down in your button, I guess. Who knows? I don't know why it's got the little thing that leads out the front, but yeah. But overall, this thing is solid, and I wish my tank was cleaner right now, not so flooded. I mean, I'm not getting a lot out of this vapor right now because it's pretty much normal for me, but I'm a high PG vapor. I've got 10%. This juice I made has 10% VG in it because I'm not really a huge fan of PG or VG. I'm more of a PG guy. I just like the flavor better. I like the throat hit better. And I actually kind of like less vapor because I can vape it in more places without being distracting to people. Same thing with the whole lower wattage stuff. But so it'll be interesting to see me get into the high wattage vaping with some of these sub-ohm coils on this tank and see what happens, you know, because I don't want to be somewhere blowing huge clouds and being really distracting to other people. So we'll see what happens with that. Whether or not I like it, maybe I'll update this review after I get the batteries. I'm planning on picking up some batteries tomorrow, so you know, I'll test it out tomorrow. I've got a bottle of juice I made that's only 3 milligram. I typically vape a 9 milligram, but when you do a high wattage sub-ohm vaping, a lot of people they you know, they bring it back down to like 2, 3, 6 milligram juice because they're getting a lot more vapor all at once. So it's kind of like compensating for, you know, it sort of offsets itself, you know. With this, more nicotine in here because less vapor. With that, more vapor, so less nicotine. Kind of balances itself out. So I've got a bottle of Elven Apple that I made, which is my specialty caramel apple. I've got it at 3 milligrams, all set and waiting. It's been steeping for about a week now, so it should be ready for this tank and for these new batteries. But again, Joytech, eVic, VTC Mini, 3 different colors. I paid $75 with tax at a local store. You can get them for cheaper online. You can get them that are as just the body without the tank. With the tank, it's called the kit, and it runs anywhere from, I've seen them online, anywhere from like around 60 or 55, 60 to you know, 75, 90 bucks, whatever. I like going to an actual physical store and picking it up myself. So, you know, I had it that day. I tend to be that way with vaping supplies these days, instead of waiting for the mailman, because there's just so many vape stores around, and even regular smoke shops carry a lot of vaping stuff that you know, unless it's a specialty item, I'm really can't find anywhere in person. I'll pay a few extra bucks to go to the vape store and buy it because, you know, I'm supporting a local business, and you know, I get it right away, and those couple extra bucks pretty much balance out when you consider you got to pay for shipping online anyway. So anyway, good mod. I would get it even if you're a beginner.